going on, everybody? I want to welcome you back to Knicks Daily, baby. The New York Knicks move on. New York Knicks move on to the next round to face the hated Boston Celtics. That's what we on today. That's what we on today. There ain't no Malik Beasley twerking it up. The man was twerking as a celebration. What are we doing? You know what I mean? No more of that. No more of them sad boys in Detroit. Shout out to the bad boys. We know they coming. Shout out to the Detroit Pistons, them young bucks. We know that they're on deck. We know that they're on deck. They got young stars. You know, they got core pieces. They look like us a few years ago when we were getting a Mitchell Robinson that we knew would kind of be there to help build up. You know, when we acquired Jalen Brunson, when we started putting pieces together. So we know that they're on the come up, but this is our moment. This is our time. Okay? We'll see you again when we see you. But the New York Knicks were able to advance to the next round to face the Boston Celtics by beating the Detroit Pistons 4-2, and we here to talk about it today. We here to talk about our captain, Captain Clutch, the Brundertaker, put the final rights over the Detroit Pistons in this game with that shot over Al Thompson. Come on, did we just not talk about this cat? In the previous video, did we not just talk about this cat? But we're about to get into it today. Folks, I want to welcome you all to Knicks Daily. If you're here for the first time, I welcome you. Everybody eats here at Knicks Daily. If you want to know what the format is, we're going to breeze through it, but there's 4 items on the menu. First, there's the bacon, egg, and cheese. Bacon, egg, and cheese is a staple sandwich in New York, but there are 3 ingredients that make that thing special. So we're going to talk about who are the 3 ingredients of this game that made the bacon, egg, and cheese. Who's the bacon, the egg, and the cheese that helped us get over the top? Second on the menu, it's the dollar slice. Pizza in New York is legendary. Everybody knows we have the best pizza. So we're going to talk about who is the legendary person of the game. Not necessarily the top player, but the stabilizing factor that helped us get this win. Then we have the chopped cheese. And the chopped cheese is relatively new to that New York menu. But that thing be busting. So we're going to talk a little bit about it. Who was the chopped cheese of the game? Now, you can't have the chopped cheese. You can't have the dollar slice. You can't have the bacon, egg, and cheese if you ain't got nothing to wash that thing down with. And here at Knicks Deli, what we serve is the quarter water. So the quarter water of the game goes to somebody who made a contribution that may have been a little bit unexpected, but came through right on time, whether it's in one quarter or a little bit in each quarter. Then we're going to tie that thing up with another item on the menu, just in case we have special guests that we don't really rock with, but everybody eats. So we give them the glizzy. We give them the glizzy of the game, baby. Hey, yo, is right. So we're going to talk about who gets the glizzy of the game because I got a lot to say and I don't have a lot of time to say it. All right. So let's dive into it, baby. The New York Knicks were able to pull out a great win last night. One of the most electrifying wins of the season and the postseason, and frankly, of Jalen Brunson's career here in New York. This man continues to be, and it's so appropriate that he won Clutch Player of the Year, because he continues to show you that he is a 1A, Becky Hammond. He's continued to show you, all of ESPN, that this dude is what he says and he says what he is. He's like, I'm here to win a championship in this league. I'm going to win a championship. He told you this. He said, I will win a championship in this league. And that's where he's on his way to do. Luka's out. LeBron's out. Shout out to whoever's going and doing what they're doing in the West. But we ain't worried about that right now. We here in the East. And Jalen Brunson was the star last night. He was the superstar last night. And he did what superstars do. They come through in the clutch. They come through in big time moments. They show up when the lights are the brightest. And however appropriate it is, the man plays on Broadway. So I love it. I love every moment of it. I love the fact that at the end of the game, when the final buzzer hit, OG threw the ball up in the air, and you could see Brunson telling the crowd, go to home. Go to home. And then his boy had his back. Josh Hart came up right behind him and was like, yeah, out of here. Go to home. And you know what? Any other time would be like, listen, that might be disrespectful, right? Look, y'all a little bit over the top, but nah, not when it's F.U. Jalen, F.U. Brunson. Not when that's happening. Not when the Ninjas is just like, yeah, we going back to Detroit now. You know what I'm saying? I told you. Malik Beasley, all that stuff he was chopping up. All that stuff he was chopping up. Cade with the little slick, you know, little slick Drake, shots, the silent shots that he was putting out there. So it was only appropriate that we, and Bickerstaff, you know, bickering with the referees, we need to call him bickering staff. Bickering with the staff of referees that played throughout the series. His is over. So it was only appropriate that we sent them out the same way with the same energy that they gave us, trying to be us. You can't be us, Flash. You can't be us, Flash. You can't be old Eddie Kane. You know, we did this. We do this.
I don't even know what that means.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
Continuing to do this in Boston. But when I was on Twitter a few times, tagged in a couple of posts, shout out to Detroit fans. It's all, look, it's business. It's never personal. It is business. And to their credit, as an example of it being business, many of them was just like, yo, good luck, Knicks. Strong series, good game. Damn, you know, Brunson's that guy. You know, I doubted him. But, yo, we see it with our own two eyes. So we respect that. And we're seeing a lot more of that with people saying we doubted him, but he's continuing to show up through injuries, getting up. They thinking they're going to bang him, hit him on I'm going to pause the pause for the whole damn segment, okay? I'm pausing a pause. But you think you're going to knock him around and injure him. And what you realize is the whole damn team is resilient. The whole damn team looks at adversity and eats it for lunch. This is just what we do. It symbolizes and it embodies the spirit of New York. That's what we do. So that's not going to work. Find a new game plan. But I love the electric finish. I love Brunson and Hart's energy at the end of that game when they wrapped it up. And the New York Knicks advanced to the Eastern Conference semifinals, as we should. This is a testament, Knicks fans, because y'all are starting to piss me off. Y'all still continue to piss me off. But this is a testament, Knicks fans, that I know it's clear in how you contribute to the conversation, how consistent you've been with watching your team over the years. Since about the age of, 12? I've been a Knicks fan? Trust me, that's a couple of decades ago. So I've seen the ebbs and the flows of the season. I've seen the ebbs and the flows, especially with New York Knicks in the 1990s, the cardiac Knicks, where they would grind and grunt and you had to withstand 80-point victories consistently, okay? And to know that you're never out of a game, or that when you're down, that there's still an opportunity. When you see players who you know have that ability and have that mindset, I'm so happy that our New York Knicks team doesn't have the mindset of many of you Knicks fans. I'm so happy because if they had the mindset of many of you Knicks fans, they would give up on the game and we'd lose by the double digits. We fall down in the fourth quarter. This team doesn't have that mindset. And that's what's going to make us go from underdogs to surprising teams that are supposed to beat us. So keep tuned, stay tuned for that. But like I said, it's a great win. It wasn't pretty. We were 10 of 30 from three. We had 15 turnovers. It's a lot to look at, but we came into this series facing a team that was 3-1 against us in the regular season. A team that was formulating their identity, a team that was scaring a lot of people. A team that had many Knicks fans talking about throwing games so we didn't have to face them. Y'all are wildin'. Same ones that are sitting there like, I told you, Knicks, no, what? Knicks are 6, yeah, what? Same ones, like Stephen A. Smith, who was just like, oh, I'm going to predict that the Pistons win this game. What? Same ones, keep that same energy, but recognize what you're doing. If our players had the mindset you had, we'd be a wrap. Detroit is a young athletic team, defensive minded. They're gritty, they're hungry, but they don't have experience. They didn't have the talent. And put those two together with the heart of the leadership that we have and the coach that we have, you're crazy. You're crazy. So that's a great segue into who gets the bacon, egg, and cheese of the game here at Knicks Deli after the win. But before we move any further, like the video. I promise you're going to like the rest of it, but like it right now. because it helps get eyes on the channel, and we trying to grow this thing, especially throughout the playoffs. So do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that bell so that you know every time I'm dropping a video as well. But Jalen Brunson, come on now, talk to me. No, not that way. Jalen Brunson, talk to me. We're going to give a round of applause, a New York round of applause to Jalen Brunson, man. I'm telling you, Jalen Brunson is our wish and our dream come true. He is our dream come true. The man is like, we've always wanted a superstar. If you grew up in the 90s watching 90s basketball, you fell victim to those moments of Reggie Miller hitting shots over you and bowing at the center of Madison Square Garden to the fans as if he was putting on a performance. You suffered through the times when Michael Jordan would come in and get big wins or hit big shots, and he'd lean down and tap the Knicks emblem after dropping 55, coming back from retirement. Crushing play. And outside of Knicks fandom, you looked at a Michael Jordan destroying the league, last minute shots, last second shots, and sitting there like, damn, if we only had a player like that. We have a player like that. We have that player. It's Jalen Brunson. He's here now. Get off of that. Get off of those eggshells that y'all walking on, waiting for the thing to drop so you could talk, so you could be fresh on the internet talking about your Knicks in a negative manner. Get off that. He's here now. And we put together this team for moments like the next round, Boston, the current defending champions. We put together this team for that. But last night he showed you, we ain't going home. I need to rest. I need to recover. I need a break. That's what he told you last night by giving you 40 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds, and shutting the mother flipping door on those mother flipping Detroit Pistons. That's what he showed you. Some people will say he was asked to do too much this series. Nah. You need to get over this hump. We got our feet wet. We warmed up. We had our first sample and taste of a first round matchup. How do you prepare for a team and make adjustments from game to game? How do you take care of your bodies during recovery, whatever have you? All that. We had that. But the captain knew it's time to close this damn door. Because if we give these young dudes any more rope, they're going to hang us with it. So shout out to Jalen Brunson, the Brundertaker, captain, for closing the mother flipping door on these Pistons, sending their ass home, and getting on to business where the Boston Celtics await us. So round of applause for our bacon of the bacon, egg, and cheese, Jalen mother flipping Brunson. Who gets the egg of the bacon, egg, and cheese? The egg, deservedly so, goes to McCall mother flipping Bridges. A round of applause for McCall Bridges. Yeah, yes, McCall Bridges. Okay, this man showed up when the lights were brightest. Okay, he even had a little bit of a moment where he, tried to make his voice, heard, and rightfully so, because he also was concerned about how we're coming out in the third quarter with these starts to the third quarter. And at first I was a little bit like, Ninja, you ain't been here for a half a breath yet. And you come in and talking about stuff like that. But that is the level of comfort that he has being on a team with his lifelong teammates, especially from Villanova. That's the comfort that he has, and he pointed it out. They go out a little bit early, and they did layup lines. And how did they come out and show up in the third quarter? So you can't discount it. You can't give credit to it too much. But he did voice his concern, not only verbally, but he did it with his play. He did it with his actions. And we saw that to a tune of 25 points, 3 assists, 4 rebounds, one of the biggest tip shots in this series that helped us close this victory, and one of his best efforts as a New York Knick. So shout out to him. His defense has been impactful this series. Round of applause for our guy who's been getting a lot of flack, but not today here in Knicks Deli, McCall Bridges. Round of applause. Next up, who gets the cheese of the bacon, egg, and cheese here in Knicks Deli today? And this is a rarity in terms of the last few Knicks Daily Sessions. But the cheese goes to our guy, OG Mother Flippin' Anunoby. OG Anunoby. Round of applause for OG. OG is going to be the key to anything we accomplish in this series, in this run of the playoffs. If we win the championship, he is going to be the key to us getting that far. Okay? OG Anunoby absolutely showed up as I thought he would. I overshot it. I thought he was going to drop 35. Okay? I overshot it, but, you know, to the tune of 22 points. He had 1 assist, 1 rebound, but more importantly, for the OG side, offense and defense, the man dropped 2 blocks and 3 steals. Impactful. Impactful. This is what you need. You need dogs. The New York Knicks, contrary to popular belief, we have dogs. Okay? But you need to have talented dogs to win championships. And he is a talented dog as a championship cog that we do have on our roster. He helped Cade be introduced to his worst game of the series. He absolutely did that. Cade did not have an impressive performance today. But also, this was probably OG's best game in the series. It was a great warm-up game. They are locked in. They are locked into the roles that they play. Now is not the time for them to be reading headlines, although we do see Josh Hart hearing what's being said. He's hearing what's being said about the coach. He's hearing what's being said about his teammates, and he's responding accordingly on Twitter. Something rare that you see, because usually the players try to stay away from media of any type. But this is a new generation, and the generation does have some ability to multitask, and that's what we see. But OG Anunoby absolutely was a beast for us, and he showed up in this game under the brightest of lights. Round of applause for the cheese of the bacon, egg, and cheese, and overall round of applause for the bacon, egg, and cheese of the game. Jalen Brunson, McCall Bridges, and OG motherfucking Elimínate. Round of applause for them guys. Round of applause. Now, next on the menu is the dollar slice. So who's going to get the dollar slice? Who is that stabilizing factor that helped us get this victory? Let's get it. And the stabilizing factor, the dollar slice goes to Josh Hart. I just talked about him, but you can't talk about him enough. And we don't talk about him enough. We don't talk about him enough. So Josh Hart, 13 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists. They can't guard him. He is the X factor in any game, in any series that we have. End of story, end of discussion. He is the X factor. And I absolutely love it, man. Josh Hart, bro, fills in all the blanks. Leadership, most importantly, sets the tone, keeps everybody engaged in where they need to be, speaks on defense, brings that fire, Mr. Intangible, Mr. Everything. Josh Hart, round of applause for the dollar slice, Josh Hart. Yeah. Like this video, once again, if you're just chiming into the channel, do me a favor, like this video, subscribe, help us get these numbers up, all right? Next on the menu, who is the chopped cheese of the game? Who is the chopped cheese here at Knicks Daily? And the chopped cheese is going to go to Karl-Anthony Towns. Round of applause for the chopped cheese, Karl-Anthony Towns. Now, many of you will say, yo, but come on, Shia, man, the man fouled out. We don't need that. He ain't locked in, this, that, and the third. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is a team that was put together this season. This is a team that was put together this season. We're going to have games like this from Cat until we don't. You know, we just need, when these games happen, for somebody else to show up. That's why it's important for you to have multiple superstars on your team. And it is still to be determined if Karl-Anthony Towns is a superstar in New York, because that's a difference. I mean, you can't rely on being a superstar. If that was the case, then Damian Lillard would be considered a superstar in Boston. You can't lean on what you did in the past. It's going to be key to see if he's a superstar in New York, which means, can he show up in big moments? Can he have dominant performances against dominant teams? You know, can you break the will of the other team? That's ultimately what it comes down to. But what Cat did was he did drop 10 points, 2 assists, but he had 15 rebounds. If you don't have it going on one end, it's important for you to contribute in another way. And that's exactly what he did. And although he did foul out early, His energy didn't change. He's still cheerleading on the bench, this, that, and the third. And he will make adjustments throughout the rest of the playoffs. So it's level moments, all right? Regular season, you showed the ability to dominate. Playoffs, last year, he was able to get to the conference finals. Now this year, it's different. The setting is different. There's more eyes and more pressure on you. Let's see how he performs in this run. So stop passing judgment so early, and let's all revisit this at the end of whenever our time ends this year. But for now, he does get the dollar slice. Just to have him out there as a threat to pull players away from the basket, create some space, all of that. We just need him to stay out of foul trouble. So the chopped cheese goes to Karl-Anthony Towns. And lastly, what I'm going to do is give the glizzy of the game to the New York Knicks bench.
Over here, look at this guy in the bedazzled hat. He's over here 3 fucking fingers deep up to his knuckles with Timu jewelry. What the fuck? Push it.
Okay, we need more. We need more. We need more moments from Deuce. He did come out, hit a big 3 at the beginning of the game. But anytime you are in there, whether you're disruptive, I need you to earn fouls. You know what I mean? And for Deuce, earning fouls is maybe swiping for the ball. You know, really pressing the backcourt, really putting that pressure on the backcourt. You know, you can't end the game if you're not fouling out with only a few points. You know, like what he does well is disrupts on the defensive end. We need that, and hit a couple of big shots, threes, whatever have you. We need that. We need that fight. He's too much of a young dog for us to not feel his presence in the stat sheet. So we need that as well. Campaign, once again, was all right. He was all right in this game. But he has those moments to have explosive stretches. And I say that, and I give them the glizzy, and normally I wouldn't, because I already talk about the value of having starters who will play high minutes, which ultimately means the rotation gets shortened. But when we're about to face Boston, who reaches into their bench, Boston, who has players like Hauser, or Boston, who has players like Cornette, you know, like these players. There's another young dude on there that be killing it, but they're going to lean on to them. These are the players that give breathing time for Tatum and Jalen Brown to get rest and to close as if they have high energy. We need our bench in this season, in this series, or we need appropriate versatility and a real spread out management of the minutes, where maybe across the board everybody gets like 33 minutes or something like that. We need to find a way to make sure that we have as much energy at the end of games, you know, than the other team, you know, because obviously I heard somewhere it's just like, you know, stamina. Great players have the stamina. Good players don't, you know, so we really, if we're trying to be great, not only do we need to have the stamina, but we need to have the players who are able to step into that moment, hit big time shots, and really help us get over the top. We are looked at as underdogs going into this series with Boston, you know, but we are capable of playing with anybody and everybody. And Knicks fans, listen, we made the trade for McCall. We made the trade for Cat as pieces that add to our overall championship roster. We so happen have an opportunity where the league right now is really flashing parity. There is no dominant team. There is no dominant favorite. Boston is the current champion, but they're not favored to be the number one. People still wonder if OKC could beat them. People still wonder if other teams like a Gobert in them right now in Minnesota, we call it what we will, you know, Randall and them look like they have a chance at a championship. How crazy would it be if it's a New York, Minnesota finals? New York, Minnesota finals. The people we traded each other for will show up in the finals. That would be insane. I would love that. I'm calling that right now. I pray to the basketball gods. The Minnesota Timberwolves versus the New York Knicks are the final. I pray for that, you know. so that we can give everybody their flowers. You know, we can hate on Randall, give him his flowers. We can hate on Dante, give him his flowers. Villanova versus Villanova. Mentor versus mentee, Brunson and Edwards. You know what I mean? Go Bird versus Cat. Come on, man. Like, that is the thing of dreams. So, and I might actually do a video on that. That would be phenomenal. But yeah, that's what we're looking at, man. So New York Knicks fans, congratulations, baby. We here, baby. Congratulations. Our New York Knicks 4-2. You know, I wasn't feeling good when I got up. You know, so I actually did take a sick day. Shout out to my people who are watching the video. I am sick though. You know, I'm sick for them Pistons. That's what it is. But we up and we here now. So shout out to everybody, man. New York Knicks. Keep this in mind. Same thing applies to life that applies to our team. If there's no struggle, there's no progress. But remember this, whether it's out there in the real world or here in these YouTube streets, here at Knicks Deli,
Everybody eats. I'm your boy Sheer, and I'm out. Peace.